Every spring, millions of American homeowners walk into nurseries and buy plants that have already sent children and pets to emergency rooms. Not because they are careless, because the nursery never put a single warning label on any of them. These 15 plants are still on shelves right now, beautiful, affordable, and completely mislabeled as safe garden choices. And the one at number 14, that is the plant toxicologists, quietly rank as the most lethal per gram of anything sold in American garden retail. Somewhere in this video is the story of a grandmother in Georgia who nearly lost everything to a plant from her own front yard. Before plant number 1, drop your state in the comments right now. Your USDA zone completely changes which of these performs best for you. I will be calling out specific zones throughout this entire video. Find yours and pay attention. Plant number 1, Oleander. Every part of this plant, leaf, stem, flower, root, and even the smoke if you burn it, contains cardiac glycosides that can stop a heart. Zones 8 through 11 from the Carolinas to California. This is one of the most commonly planted roadside and garden shrubs in American retail, sold without a single toxicity warning at most nurseries. One leaf is enough to kill a medium-sized dog, and a single ingestion event means a vet bill between $500 and $3,000 before you leave the parking lot. The safer swap is viburnum. Same dense privacy screen. Same zone performance, zero cardiac risk. Oleander looks like a garden decision. What comes next looks like a cottage flower, and it runs on an entirely different level of cardiac danger that most growers have never been told. Plant number 2, Foxglove. The entire pharmaceutical category of cardiac drugs called digitalis was derived from this plant, which tells you exactly what it does to an uncontrolled dose inside a child or a pet. Zones 4 through 9 cover most of the continental United States, meaning this plant is available from Minnesota nurseries to Georgia garden centers with zero mandatory warning. Most growers make the mistake of assuming that because a plant-inspired medicine, it must be safe to touch and grow freely. That assumption has sent children to poison control in every single American region. The safer swap is penstemon. Same vertical spike, same pollinator attraction, same zone range, and no digitalis compound anywhere in the plant. Drop your state in the comments right now. Your USDA zone completely changes which of these plants are sitting in your local nursery this season. Plant number 3 attracts butterflies and children in equal measure, and almost nobody who buys it knows what it actually does. Plant number 3, Lantana. The flowers are harmless, and the butterflies love them, but the unripe green berries that follow those flowers contain lantidine, a compound that causes liver failure in dogs and severe gastrointestinal hemorrhage in children under 10. Zones 9 through 11 see this plant sold as a perennial ground cover, and in zones 6 through 8, it moves as an annual, meaning it reaches nursery shelves in every region of the country every single spring. The mistake most growers make is treating it as a purely ornamental choice when children and pets share the same yard. If you are watching and not yet subscribed, here is what that actually means. YouTube will stop putting this content in your feed. Not slow it down, stop. Planter Lab releases plant knowledge every single week built specifically for smart growers who want real results, not generic advice. Hit subscribe now. It is free and it always will be. The safer swap is Calibrachoa. Same butterfly magnetism, same color density, same container and bed performance, zero toxic berry production. Lantana hides its danger in what comes after the bloom. Plant number 4 hides its danger in something far more theatrical, and the nursery industry has been selling it as a patio centerpiece for decades. Plant number 4, Angel's Trumpet. Every single part of this plant, roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and seeds, contains tropane alkaloids, including scopolamine alkaloids, including scopolamine and atropine, compounds used in controlled medical settings at doses measured in micrograms. Zones 9 through 11 see it sold as a patio statement plant. And because of its dramatic hanging blooms, it regularly appears in curated garden center displays with zero toxicity disclosure. The hallucination and paralysis risk from accidental ingestion has been documented in poison control reports across Texas, Florida, and California. And a single emergency room visit runs $1,500 to $4,000. The safer swap is Mandevilla. Same tropical drama, same patio scale, same warm zone performance, none of the alkaloid chemistry. Have you ever grown Angel's trumpet before? Drop it below, because most growers who have one have no idea what they are actually living next to. Plant number 5 looks like a crocus and behaves like a poison, and it blooms in autumn when almost nobody is expecting danger. Plant number 5, autumn crocus. What makes this plant uniquely dangerous is not just the toxin, it is the timing. It blooms in September and October without any leaves present, which means it looks like a harmless late-season wildflower arriving in bare soil. And children and dogs investigate it precisely because it appears so unexpectedly. The compound it contains is colchicine, a mitotic poison with no commercial antidote. Documented by the ASPCA, is capable of causing multi-organ failure within 24 hours of ingestion in dogs and cats. Zones 4 through 9 place this plant in nursery stock from the Northeast to the Mid-Atlantic. And a single veterinary toxicology case runs $800 to $2,500 before treatment outcome is known. The safer swap is saffron crocus. Crocus sativus, same autumn bloom timing, same delicate form, and the stigmas are edible and worth $10 to $15 per gram at retail. Autumn crocus is dangerous because it arrives when your guard is completely down. Plant number 6 is dangerous for the opposite reason. It is so well known as a cottage garden classic that almost no one ever questions it. Plant number 6, Monkshood. This is the plant that medieval poisoners used precisely because aconitin, its primary alkaloid, does not require ingestion to begin acting. Skin contact with wet leaves or stems is enough for aconitin to absorb transdermally and begin producing cardiac arrhythmia and respiratory paralysis, which is why university horticulture programs across the country now recommend against handling it without nitrile gloves. Zones 3 through 7 from Minnesota to Virginia carry this as a standard perennial border plant, sold at full-service nurseries with no handling warning anywhere on the label. A dermal exposure incident, documented in emergency medicine literature, resulted in hospitalization costs exceeding $2,200 without surgical intervention. The safer swap is Salvia nemorosa. Same blue-purple vertical spike, same cool zone performance, pollinator-friendly, and completely safe for bare hand planting. Monkshood is the plant that poisons through touch, alone, which is a category most growers have never even been warned about. Plant number 7 belongs to an entirely different danger category, and it has been appearing on seed websites and garden centers as a statement plant for 20 years. Plant number 7, castor bean. The seeds of this plant contain ricin, confirmed by the CDC as one of the most acutely toxic naturally occurring substances on Earth, with a lethal dose in children measured in micrograms per kilogram of body weight. This channel exists for growers who have spent enough seasons making expensive mistakes they were never warned about. If that is you, and if you are in your 50s or 60s, subscribe right now. Every week, new content. Zone aware, dollar grounded. Built for your actual life. Zones 9 through 11 list. It is a perennial, and in cooler zones it is sold as an annual for its bold tropical foliage, with the seed pods prominently displayed as a visual selling point at garden centers from Texas to the Pacific Northwest. The mistake most growers make is planting it along a fence line where children from neighboring properties can access the decorative spiky pods without any adult present. A single ricin poisoning event requiring intensive care treatment has been documented at costs exceeding $4,000 in published U.S. poison control case literature. Did you believe castor bean was just a dramatic ornamental? Be completely honest in the comments. Plant number 8 has been climbing American fences and pergolas for a century, and almost nobody has ever been told what happens when a child eats the pods. Plant number 8, Wisteria. The cascading purple blooms are among the most photographed garden moments in American residential landscaping, and the seed pods that follow them contain western glycoside and lectins that cause rapid onset vomiting, severe abdominal cramping, and collapse in children who mistake the pendulous pods for something edible. Zones 5 through 9 mean this vine is present in backyards from Illinois to Georgia, draping over pergolas and fences in yards where grandchildren play every summer weekend. Poison control data documents Wisteria as a consistent top 10 plant exposure call every spring season across the South and Mid-Atlantic. The safer swap is American Wisteria. Wisteria fruits essence, same cascading bloom display, dramatically lower toxicity profile, and it does not become the structural invasion problem that Wisteria sinensis creates in established gardens. Wisteria rewards the eye and punishes the family that does not know what follows the bloom. And we have not even reached number 14 yet. That one changes everything. But plant number 9 has been hiding in cottage gardens since before most growers were born. Plant number 9, Bleeding Heart. The name signals romance, and the form confirms it. But every part of this plant contains isoquinoline alkaloids that cause skin sensitization on contact and progressive liver damage in cats and dogs with repeated low-level exposure, which is exactly the scenario that plays out when a pet grazes a shaded border daily without the owner connecting the symptom to the plant. Zones 3 through 9 make this one of the most universally available shade perennials in American nurseries, consistently shelved next to hostas and ferns as a safe woodland companion choice. A chronic low-level feline liver case, documented in veterinary literature, resulted in treatment costs between $600 and $1,400 over a single season before the plant was identified as. The source. The safer swap is Disintrax and Exemia. Same delicate pendant form, same shade tolerance, dramatically reduced alkaloid concentration, and it blooms longer into the summer season. What spot or situation in your yard has defeated every plant you have tried? Tell me below, because the answer is almost never what you think. The story I mentioned at the very beginning of this video. It is time. Earlier I mentioned the story of a grandmother in Georgia. Here is exactly what happened. She was 62, Zone 7, had grown oleander along her front walkway for 11 years without a single incident. Her 2 grandchildren visited every summer, and the plant had never caused concern because nobody had ever told her what it actually contained. One July afternoon, her 7-year-old granddaughter chewed a single leaf on a dare from a neighbor's child. The grandmother recognized something was wrong within the hour and reached the emergency room before cardiac symptoms progressed. The documented treatment cost was $800, and the child recovered fully. What the grandmother said afterward was this. She had bought that plant at a national garden chain. It had a care tag with watering instructions and not one word about cardiac glycosides. ASPCA-documented records confirm Oleander as one of the most frequently reported severe ingestion plants in the continental United States. She replaced it with viburnum the following spring. Same screen, same zone, same neighborhood. And she has never looked back. Plant number 10, Lily of the Valley. This plant appears in wedding bouquets, cottage garden paintings, and springtime nursery displays as one of the most universally beloved flowering ground covers in American horticulture. And every single part of it, including the water in a vase where cut stems have been sitting, contains convalotoxin, a cardiac glycoside more concentrated per gram than the compound in Oleander. Zones 2 through 7 mean it spreads as a naturalizing ground cover from Maine to Kansas, establishing dense colonies in shaded borders where children and pets spend the most time in a residential yard. The red berries that appear in late summer are the highest risk moment, sweet-looking, small enough to seem edible, and capable of producing cardiac irregularity in a child within 2 hours of ingestion, according to U.S. poison control documentation. The safer swap is sweet woodruff. Same shade-loving ground cover habit, same delicate white flower, same zone 4 through 8 performance, and completely non-toxic to children and pets. Lily of the Valley is proof that cultural familiarity is not the same as safety. Plant number 11 proves the same point from a completely different angle. It has been used as a spiritual and medicinal plant for centuries, and it will end a vet visit in one afternoon. Plant number 11, Datura. If Angel's trumpet at plant number 4 concerned you, Datura is its wild-growing relative, with an identical alkaloid profile and the significant additional problem that it self-seeds aggressively across zones 9 through 11, meaning it can appear in your yard without you ever having planted it. The tropane alkaloids in Datura, scopolamine, peat, and hyoscyamu have been documented in emergency medicine literature as causing severe anticholinergic syndrome, including delirium, hyperthermia, and cardiac arrest when ingested by curious adolescents who encounter it in garden settings or naturalized roadsides. The mistake most growers make is assuming that because it grows wild, it must be a weed with no purchase history. It is actively sold as a novelty plant on dozens of online seed platforms right now with no mandatory safety disclosure. The safer swap is Nicotiana alata. Same large white evening scented bloom, same nighttime garden presence, and while Nicotiana contains nicotine and is not edible, its risk profile is dramatically lower than the tropane chemistry of Datura. Drop your state in the comments. Your zone tells me exactly which of these plants are sitting in nursery stock within 10 miles of your house right now. Plant number 12 looks like a succulent and behaves like a chemical, and the sap is the part that nobody ever warns you about. Plant number 12, Euphorbia. The genus Euphorbia contains over 2,000 species, and the one consistent feature across nearly all of them is a white latex sap that is released the moment any stem is cut, broken, or damaged, a sap confirmed by dermatology literature to cause chemical burns on skin contact and irreversible corneal damage if it reaches the eye. Zones 9 through 11 see Euphorbia myeli sold as a drought-tolerant patio succulent, and in cooler zones it moves as a popular houseplant under common names, like crown of thorns, reaching American consumers from Maine to California without a single chemical hazard notice on the nursery tag. The mistake most growers make is pruning it barehanded on a warm afternoon and then touching their face, which is the exact scenario documented in ophthalmology case reports, resulting in emergency room treatment costs between $400 and $1,800 for chemical eye irrigation. The safer swap for the same sculptural drought-tolerant form is Agave americana in warm zones or aloe vera in containers. Both deliver the same architectural presence with none of the caustic latex chemistry. Euphorbia punishes the grower, who does not know what that white sap actually is. Plant number 13 punishes the grower, who assumes that because something is sold as a popular houseplant, it has been screened for family safety. Plant number 13, Philodendron. This is one of the top 5 best-selling houseplants in the United States, found in living rooms, offices, and nursery checkout displays from coast to coast. And it contains calcium oxalate crystals in every leaf and stem that cause immediate intense burning pain, swelling of oral tissue, and in severe cases, airway compromise when chewed by a cat or small dog. Zones 10 through 12 allow it outdoors, but in every other zone it lives inside the home as a trailing or climbing display plant, which means it shares indoor air and floor space with the pets most likely to interact with it. The ASPCA lists philodendron as toxic to both cats and dogs, and a moderate ingestion case requiring veterinary oral examination and pain management has been documented at costs between $300 and $900 per incident. If you are in your 50s or 60s and have a cat that has access to any trailing houseplant shelf, this is the plant most worth auditing first. The safer swap is pothos, which also contains calcium oxalate, but at dramatically lower concentration. Or better still, peperomia, which is confirmed non-toxic by ASPCA for both cats and dogs. Have you ever grown philodendron before? Drop it below, because most households have one within reach of a pet right now. We are moving outside, and plant number 14 is the one I mentioned in the very first sentence of this video. This is the plant I mentioned at the very beginning. Number 14, English Yew, taxine alkaloids. The active compounds in every part of this plant except the red aural flesh, act directly on cardiac sodium and calcium channels and can produce fatal cardiac arrest in a healthy adult within hours of ingestion, giving it one of the lowest confirmed lethal dose thresholds of any ornamental plant in the Western horticultural record. Zones 5 through 8 mean this plant is used as a formal hedge, a foundation planting, and a topiary specimen in millions of American residential landscapes, sold at premium price points between $25 and $80. And the red berries it produces in autumn are the exact color and size that attract both children and birds to investigate them at ground level. That is not gardening. That is a liability sitting along your property line. The safer swap is arbor vitae, Thuja occidentalis. Same dense evergreen hedge structure, same formal screening performance. Zones 2 through 7, zero taxine chemistry, and it grows faster than yew in most American soil conditions. This is not here to make you afraid of your own yard. It is here because your family deserves to be safe in it. And nobody at that garden center was ever going to tell you this unprompted. Plant number 15 finishes this list with the plant that surprises almost everyone, because most growers believe it is completely harmless. Plant number 15, Hydrangea. This is the plant that ends almost every conversation with genuine surprise, because Hydrangea macrophylla is considered so fundamentally safe that it appears on wedding tables, sympathy arrangements, and front yard garden beds in every American neighborhood from zones 5 through 9, without a single grower questioning its chemistry. The leaves and flower buds contain Hydrangea, a cyanogenic glycoside that the ASPCA confirms is toxic to dogs, cats, and horses, producing gastrointestinal distress, lethargy, and in larger ingestion events, more serious systemic response. The honest limitation here is that the toxicity level is significantly lower than English Yew or Oleander, but a dog that strips flower buds from a low-growing hydrangea border on a summer afternoon can still generate a $400 to $700 emergency veterinary visit before any serious outcome is determined. The safer swap is Viburnum opulus, snowball bush, same large white to cream flower cluster form, same zone 3 through 8 performance, and confirmed non-toxic to pets and children by ASPCA documentation. Did you believe Hydrangea was completely safe? Be completely honest in the comments, because most growers do. We are not ending here. 3 things most vets know about garden plants that almost no grower has ever been told. Here are 3 things most vets know that almost no garden center employee will ever tell you. The first is that a pet does not need to eat a toxic plant to be affected. Pollen transfer from fur to mouth during grooming is a documented low-level exposure pathway for lily of the valley and Euphorbia. The second is that the ASPCA Animal Poison Control Hotline, reachable at 4435 charges a consultation fee, which means the real cost of a toxic plant incident begins before you ever reach the veterinary clinic. The third is that English yew clippings remain fully toxic after the branch is dead and dry, meaning a pruning session that leaves cuttings on a lawn where a dog has access is as dangerous as the living plant itself. You just received zone-accurate, dollar-grounded, research-based plant information that most channels never put in one place. That is what every Planter Lab video delivers. Subscribe now and turn on the bell. If you are in zones 5 through 7, the Northeast, Midwest, and Mid-Atlantic, your highest priority swaps are English Yew replaced with Arbor Vitae at $15 to $35, Lily of the Valley replaced with Sweet Woodruff at $8 to $12, and Monkshood replaced with Salvia nemorosa at $10 to $18. If you are in zones 8 through 11, the South, Gulf Coast, and Pacific Southwest, your priority swaps are Oleander replaced with Viburnum at $18 to $40, Angel's Trumpet replaced with Mandevilla at $15 to $30, and Lantana replaced with Calibrachoa at $8 to $15. For growers on a tight season budget, start with the single plant closest to where children or pets spend the most time and replace it first. For growers doing a full yard audit, photograph every plant currently in your beds, run each name through the ASPCA Toxic Plant Database at ASPCA-documented.org and build your swap list before the next nursery visit. April is not a preference, it is a biological window. With a closing date, and the safest garden is the one you design before the season opens. Not after the incident. If this video changed how you see even one plant currently in your yard, that is exactly what Plant ER Lab is built to do every single week. Like this video, share it with anyone who has grandchildren or pets visiting their garden this season. And subscribe now so you never miss a release. Every week, Plant ER Lab delivers zone-aware, dollar-grounded, research-based plant knowledge, the kind that most gardening channels never bother to research, and it is always free. Subscribe to Plant ER Lab. The growers who know more spend less, and we add to that knowledge every single week.